Welcome back to the Montgomery Companies Podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Montgomery, and we're glad that you're here with us today. Hey, I want to let you know before we dive into today's content that we have some dynamite episodes coming your way. A fantastic conversation with Kenyon Murray, former Hawkeye legend. A great conversation with Bob Goff, a best-selling author, one of America's top keynote speakers, and also a conversation with Carey Nieuwhof, who wrote a new book recently, At Your Best. Carey is a dynamite force for good in the energy management business, a former pastor and leader of people. Cannot wait for you to hear these upcoming episodes. This podcast is designed to help the leader go farther, faster, and we want to help you do that today by talking about an important topic that often gets overlooked, and it's leading with gratitude. All of us would say, most of us would say, I think that we have a grateful heart. There's a difference, however, between having a grateful heart and sharing your grateful heart with others. Why does it matter? People who are grateful are perceived to be more likely to honor commitments. People with a grateful heart are perceived to be those who will demonstrate kindness and humility. People with a grateful heart are those who are perceived to provide grace when things do not go well. People with a grateful heart are easier to trust. You might write this down. I believe that trust takes time to establish, but it takes only seconds to grow. In other words, it might take weeks, months, or even years to have a trusted relationship with a close friend or confidant, maybe a business colleague or a client. But it takes seconds to grow in your trust with another human being. Simon Sinek was recently spending time with the Navy SEALs, and he shared this video, and I want to give a shout out to Simon because this video impacted me. I know it impacted millions around the world. And he asked the Navy SEALs this interesting question about how they get promoted inside the Navy SEAL system. There's a group called SEAL Team 6, and to make SEAL Team 6, you've got to be one of the elite of the elite. So the Navy SEALs are one of the truly elite organizations in the world. And then to make SEAL Team 6, you're one of the most elite of the elites. You're one of the most elite Navy SEALs. He was asking the question, how do you get promoted? How do you make SEAL Team 6? How do you move upward in this organization? The SEAL said, well, we have a trust and performance matrix. On the y-axis is performance. On the x-axis is trust. Obviously, no one wants the person who is low trust, low performance. Conversely, everyone would love to have the person who is high trust, high performance. The reality is most people are somewhere in the middle. They said part of what makes our organization unique and interesting is 10 times out of 10, we will choose to promote the individual who is high trust, medium performance, over the person who is high performance, medium trust. What's the point? The point is the Navy SEALs value trust above all else. Simon goes on to say in the corporate world, we have a zillion ways to measure performance and very few ways to measure trust. It's incumbent upon us if we're going to lead people well, and if we're in the people business or you're involved in leading people in any capacity, we got to think about how we're building trust with people around us. It takes time to establish trust. It takes very little time to grow it. How do we grow it? We lead with gratitude. Of course, we could talk about following through, honoring commitments, being proactive, providing grace when there's less than ideal circumstance. But if you wanted to grow trust in a really small window, maybe you have a new prospect or a new client. Maybe there's simply a new relationship where you're trying to grow some trust. Again, there's a lot of things that you could implement. There's a lot of things that you could do to grow trust or to build trust over time. But we're going to make this simple recommendation today that you spend time expressing your gratitude in conversation with others as an extension of trust, as a way to build trust. You are perceived to be more trustworthy when you express your gratitude. I want you to think about your context. What are the conversations that you have each and every day with clients, customers, friends, mentors, advocates, family members? How are you expressing your thanks? Again, there's a difference between having a grateful heart and expressing your grateful heart. Most of us would say we're grateful. I don't know about you, but sometimes I don't express my thanks as often as I should. There's two things that get in my way. Number one, sometimes I'm just distracted. We live in a fast-paced world. And if I'm being honest, sometimes I jump into my next meeting, barely giving myself time to pause from the last. I've got a full calendar. I've got too much on my plate. And because of that, I'm not always present. Sometimes I just need to give myself permission to pause. I need to build an extra 5 or 10 minutes into my calendar so I can collect myself and be present with the people I'm dealing with. The other thing that sometimes gets in my way is I'm thinking about the future. I think God designed me to be type A. Maybe he designed you to be type A. There's a lot of gold in being type A. There's also a shadow to that personality. And I've had in the past what I might refer to as destination addiction. I've been thinking about the future. I've been thinking about the next opportunity, the next chapter, the next month, the next week. And because of that, I haven't been living into the present. My challenge for each of us today is that we might pause more often, that we might zoom out and take stock and inventory of what is instead of focusing on what isn't. And I want to leave you with a little story that maybe you'll tell one day to help somebody else in expressing their thanks and counting the blessings in their life. It's a story of an immigrant business owner who had 3 children. His children were grown and one was a CPA. And he asked this son of his, the accountant, to come back to the organization that he ran. It was a small retail shop, and he wanted his son to help him get his finances in order. This father, the immigrant business owner, was very successful, but in recent times, he had sort of lost track of his finances. He just needed some help getting organized. So his son comes back for a day and spends a day with his dad. They kind of restructure some things. He helps with the organization of finances, and they do a debrief at the end of the day. His son says to his dad, "Dad, I'm really disappointed in you. I'm disappointed, and I'm also confused. I'm disappointed that you would not do a better job of understanding your finances and knowing where things are at. Furthermore, I'm confused. How have you had all of this success over the last 30 years and you haven't got a clue what your profits are? I have no idea how you've done it. Your accounts receivable are in a cigar box. Your accounts payable are on the spindle. You've got all this cash in a register. You don't know where anything is at. You cannot count your profits. How'd you do it, Dad?" His dad said, "Well, son, the way I look at it is over the last 30 years, a lot's happened. When your mom and I came to this country, the only thing I owned was the pants that I was wearing. Your mom and I, we had 3 children. Your sister became an art teacher. Your brother became a doctor, and you're a CPA. We own the house now that we live in. We own the car that we drive, and we own this small little retail shop. If you add all of that up and discount the pants, that's my profit. Son, the thing is, for the better part of 30 years, I've understood my profits in life. I'm in a relationship business. I've learned to count my blessings, to have gratitude and express my thanks with the world around me. I believe that expressing gratitude builds trust. Trust builds relationships. Relationships are what allow you to move forward in this world and impact others. So my challenge to you is to pause, to be more present, to think about what is instead of what isn't, to be a little bit more like this business owner, the father, who took stock and inventory of where he started and how he got to where he's at today. I'm on the journey with you, and I too am learning to count my blessings. I want to thank you for listening today. Thank you for being with us. There's other things that you could have done with the last several minutes, but you decided to dial in with us to grow and get better, and it means a lot that you're here. I would love it if you would subscribe to our show moving forward, maybe even share this episode with a friend or two in an effort that we might move our mission of impact forward. I also want to say thanks to our producer, John Choate, of Storyline Multimedia, who does so much work behind the scenes to make these episodes go. Finally, we've got some dynamite episodes coming your way, an interview with Bob Goff and Carey Nieuwhof that will rock you to the core. Glad that you're here. Thanks for listening. Be well, be great. Have an awesome day.